Draft your LCS team and earn money. Alpha Draft.
And he was integral in that Dragon fight that really put them ahead. And you have to say that that was what really started it off for LGD. So OMG going to have to play a little bit more careful around this map and watch where they're backing, because of course that was the beginning of sort of that run of 3 kills in a row started up by LGD. But we are into the champion select, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see whether any changes happen to this ban, and so far, not so much, as Lissandra and Jan are going to be taken away, but Vi, that's a change-up. Yeah, definitely don't want to deal with that.
Vi is so strong at locking down those hyper carries. Of course, Imp has been a Kalista player as well, so maybe it's kind of a blocker pick there, or maybe it's showing they want to play a hyper carry again, which worries me for OMG. But there has been one swap up this game, of course. A new top laner comes in for LGD. It's Flame, and although they've met once before, it's still a bit of a dream match. It's still going against Flame.
And it's been years since they've met each other there in that top side. I believe you were actually there at the event that they faced off against each other many moons ago. But Kassadin going to be banned away as well. Xerath going to be taken off the board on the side of OMG. They don't want to see that in the hands of Whalers, sort of that long-range, wave-clear-based champion with that assassination potential, with that ultimate coming through. The last ban here from LGD. And is Kalista going to make its way through again? And how high priority is it going to be for OMG to try this one out yet again, now without a Vi?
And the interesting thing with the Xerath ban here is, of course, it just pushes up Azir as perhaps the biggest meta pick alongside Ahri in this series. So maybe an Ahri or Azir ban just to stop maybe that lane matchup being necessitated. And LeBlanc, another mid lane ban. You have to think, if OMG can just lock in Cool's Ahri, of course, his trademark champion, you have to really start going to the deeper parts of Whalers' champion pool to deal with Ahri in this situation.
Yeah, well, that is a very good point, because there's a lot of mid lane bans here. Cool hovering over that Ahri, and we might have to see yet another bird in that mid lane. Of course, Whalers was talking about the fact that, you know, this was to do something with the fact that he hadn't practiced up that many other champions. Everything else was banned. Has played Lissandra in the mid lane, Xerath as well, LeBlanc, Kassadin. These are Whalers champions. Flame now gonna just insta-lock that Rumble, and it's just going to be Acorn all over again.
He's going to do his best Acorn impression. Of course, with some of the bans coming through, we saw actually OMG banning out this champion twice, but Rek'Sai's fallen through the bans and picks. I don't like the idea of a Nivea, just because against LeBlanc, you know, you can catch her when she's going in with her Mimic, with her Distortion. You can pick her up in trades, but there's so much mobility on this Ahri, the newly buffed Ahri. It's very hard to lock her down with CC. Still some picks available. If I was a betting man, this is a optimistic bet. How often have we seen Whalers go for those flare picks? Go for the Zed against Dade, for example.
Ooh, yeah.
Try something crazy. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him pick up the Azir here and try and do this matchup justice. Of course, you could go more defensively, maybe an Orianna or one of those other choices, but not the flare that Whalers is known for as the picks start to come through.
Yeah, hovering the Kalista and the Jarvan here on the side of OMG. Jarvan, a fantastic lockdown champion here as well, can create a lot of terrain for LGD to be forced to move around. He's going to lock that one in, and with Kalista here as well, might be able to have a little bit more of a chance of setting up the fights that they want.
So it'll be interesting to see if LGD returned. Well, they've already locked in the Sivir, so we will have the Sivir versus Kalista matchup. Maybe the Leona to have a bit more lockdown potential. No, they're going to be happy with the disengage coming through from Braum.
Yeah, and the Rengar being locked in here for Xuen as well. So able to pop that Thrill of the Hunt. You still have a similar feeling to that Assault and Battery if he manages to land that Empowered Bowler right on top of the face of the carry of choice here and have a fair bit of lockdown. It's a similar issue, but we'll see whether he can get through that sort of difficult early game that Rengars tend to struggle in. And against the likes of Loveling on this Jarvan as well, things could be difficult. And what is going on here? Low is looking at it yet again, and he's locked it in. That's going to be the Maokai support yet again, Papa Smithy. We get to see it.
The third different AD carry we've seen paired with the Maokai as well. It's just, they're happy to send it with any champion. That's just how confident they are in that pick. On the Thrill of the Hunt, of course, combination is available for LGD. And I mentioned the Assassin flavor here. You could see this, of course, another one of these famous skill matchups for Ahri. Of course, once Zhonya's comes in, less options for Zed. Whalers is an excellent Zed play. That was actually banned out in the series we were speaking about. It's available here. It's a skill matchup. Why not opt into it after you've already taken down Cool in lane?
Yeah, exactly. He is going to lock it away. That is going to be the Z in the hands of Wayless, and we'll see whether we see any more Zephyrs coming through from this guy, of course. When he's picked it up in the past, that has been his final item of choice. An interesting one, but we've sort of come to happily call it the Mana Zephyr.
Yeah, the Mana Zephyr, and specifically the Mana Stinger. He always gets that Stinger early, and you're like, oh, that attack speed on Zed. Such an important statistic. But
cooldown reduction, I mean, that's good. It means he can go through that energy a whole lot faster.
Oh, that's min-maxing right there. But the draft's a lot better from OMG here, even with the shenanigans of the Maokai support. You can look at their comp and say, okay, we've got Dive, and we've got Dive buddies. We do have Maokai going into the front with the Jarvan. Of course, it's going to be a support Maokai, not going to be the super tank Maokai, but there's going to be a front line that Maokai's ultimate works with. They've gone for the Kalista again. They don't have that much peel for Kalista, so of course that could be an issue. Only the single target peel coming out from the Maokai, and the rest of the champions are all about going in, but such a strong front line. They finally get the Aurelia coming out, because Aurelia was banned in the first series. Gogoing has been at his strongest in the LPL on the Aurelia. It was kind of trivialized last game because of the comp, but he's going to have to show a lot more this season. I really want to see Gogoing and Loveling put their best foot forward after being trivialized in the last game.
Yeah, and Gogoing as well now on this sort of classic split pusher, more of a carry-style champion as well. This is what we expect coming out from Gogoing, and he's going to be far more comfortable now on this Aurelia, able to make big plays, able to be this massive champion that not many people will be able to go up against in that late game, and an answer for Wayless' split push on this Zed.
I mean, the crazy thing is there's trademarks across the board. You have to say Lowe's new to the lineup. Maokai might be his trademark. Gogoing's Aurelia. Cool's Arya. I mean, you can't speak much bigger than that. There's hype across the board from OMG, but they need to win this game.
Oh, yeah. So let's see if they can as we hop onto the Rift. And we're on to the Rift, ladies and gentlemen, with OMG taking on LGD for Game 2 here in our 5th week of the LPL. And OMG now looking to answer back after LGD had a fantastic Game 1 series. Loveling now hanging out in that brush. He was actually in there, just dancing around as Gogoing's going to find Flame here. Now going to trade some auto attacks. Is Flame going to wander back towards that brush? He's not done yet. He's coming around. See whether this scuffle does end in a little bit more, but not going to happen. They are going to be able to take down the ward. So nice. No trinket available for Gogoing. A win already on the board for LGD.
Imp has the momentum and an extra 10 gold to show at the start of this game.
Should probably go back and pick up nothing.
But this has actually afforded LGD probably more aggressive invades than they would have expected for Vision. You always want to invade a Rengar for Vision early, just to make his jungle path that much more predictable. Just to make your options that high, because of course Rengar going to be largely passive to level 6. I'm going to expect the Sightstone Jarvan coming out of Loveling here, just to kind of overward that jungle, make the throw of the hunt predictable, because especially down bottom, if he can get Vision around for the lane gank, on the throw of the hunt that we've coined, between the Sivir Rengar, if he can counter the surprise engage you get out of that combo, could be massive for OMG trying to get ahead in this mid game.
And low now on his 100% win rate support Maokai. Now with a Fate's Call to get him into that backline. They're going for the invade here on the red buff. It's going down very quickly. Of course, Uzi taking that rend early, and the neutral control that you get, even at level 1, is very, very strong if you stack up those auto attacks.
Yeah, we look down the lineup from LGD. Again, not a true tank lineup, and a lot more threats on OMG's side. So maybe this will be the game where Clissen could go ahead. But we see up top, 3-man gank.
Yeah, they're going for the level 1 cheese here with Loveling at level 2. PYL being forced out. There's the Ren to come down, and half health on both LGD members. And you have to think that Uzi's going into this game with something to prove.
But it's important that PYL actually, the width of that EQ combo coming from Jarvan was just not enough. He was able to walk straight back, didn't have to use Flash. If both members had to use Flash, the positioning from Imp and PYL would be basically under the turret. That's where they are now, but at least they have more options with Braum having that Flash summon spell still up.
Yeah, and Schwen now not having seen Jarvan there on the top side of the map, able to come towards the enemy red buff and secure that one for himself. So not going to be 3 buffed here at the beginning of this game, and Rengar going to be going okay as far as that one is concerned. Now going to be heading back, slinking back into his jungle.
Downbot, we have a standard lane matchup for, what, 3 seasons at this point? The Aurelia versus Rumble matchup. Aurelia does get ahead in this matchup towards those later levels, but will struggle in the early levels against Rumble's Harass.
Yeah, and Flame able to use that Flame Spirit as well. Doesn't draw that creep aggro, so going. If he wants to be last hitting, you just have to get burnt for it.
He actually showed a very good carry performance on Rumble in a previous series, I believe just before he started falling out of the starting lineup. So he's got plenty of ability at playing the Rumble. Of course, you'd always take Acorn. As we see Cole, he's definitely on top of this mid lane matchup.
Oh, yeah, was expecting the Living Shadow to come over the turret there was cool. Looking to try and pick up the last Orb of Deception, and maybe would have even gone in with the Ignite had he landed it, but not going to be happening this time, but cool. Beautiful play so far on this Ahri. 6 CS ahead, but every potion already used from Wayless.
And although it's a skill matchup, I'd actually slide it further in Ahri's advantage in the mid lane, just because with that extra mobility from the Q, so much harder to hit Shuriken Harass. Gogoing's taking a lot of damage though in the bot.
Yeah, Flame actually silencing himself, forcing the flash out of Gogoing. Flame waiting until that Flame Spitter back up yet again, and Flame, he's sort of known as that carry jungler, carry top laner. You can see that already, even with his Rumble play, and that's the difference between him and Acorn. Acorn forced into that 2v1, Flame happy to go into this 1v1 situation and bully around his opponent.
You just know that he bemoans this teleport meta. He wishes he had the Ignite to burn down that Aurelia.
There's a reason why his name's Flame, ladies and gentlemen. He wants to be burning people. And Rumble's a good way to do it.
It's the first flavor. Doesn't quite have the summoner to add to the name.
Yeah, not quite there. Schwen actually looking for a dive here onto Gogoing. The classic technique of just dive Gogoing at every stage, but they are going to realize that Equilibrium Strike is there and is a relevant danger. Loveling now waiting in this brush, of course. The Empower is there. Does use it on the Q here to get as much damage down as possible. Loveling takes more than half of his health from Schwen.
On the top, you can see how much pressure's been afforded by that early Loveling gang. It's maybe even stronger than a kill in this lane, just because Imps had to play so far on the back foot on Sivir. We've seen so many champions over the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th week opened up as viable picks against this Sivir. And Kalista, okay, she's had an advantage in the back of her pocket, but doing just fine.
And Uzi just dancing around with ease here, throwing these spears. Has a decent amount of mana left over here as well, and Wayless doing okay in this lane, 12 behind in the ranged versus melee matchup. Not having to go back just yet. You could imagine he probably wants to pick up about 6 longswords if he can.
He'll find something for them. He'll work it into his build path.
Yep, somehow. A Hex Drinker, Brutalizer, Ravenous Hydra, Blade of the Ruin King. He's got options. He's got options.
Does Longsword build into Zephyr?
No, I don't believe it does. Very sad. Very sad. If only they built the build path of Longsword into Pickaxe. One day, Papa Smithy will get there.
Harass continues in the top lane. Going for all the pressure being put out from Flame. Doing just fine as CS, keeping up. Didn't actually have enough gold to buy a Sheen, so his first item buy, the AP, the amp term especially, very underwhelming.
Yeah, it's going to help that Equilibrium Strike do a little bit more poke. Probably going to be maxing that one out in this lane. So not doing nothing, but you're right. It's underwhelming at this stage.
You don't have to defend the amp term. It's like
I'm just defending Gogoing. You know, he had a rough game.
He's a big, strong,
game.
Independent top laner. The captain, the shot caller of this team. The shot caller of one of the top teams in China. I'm sure he'll be okay at this.
They have actually evened up in that farm there as well, despite the attention that Schwen had paid to that lane. Is he going to continue clearing out these minions as well? Loveling going to spot Wayless there, who just hits the Scuttle Crab. He's defenseless, Wayless. That's very rude. And not too much to go on thus far in this game. OMG are ahead by a bit of gold, but it's just in the farm and largely in that mid lane here as well.
I mean, it makes sense for OMG to have a gold lead. Of course, they are against a Rengar jungle. Rengar's been probably just as effective on the map compared to Loveling, apart from that very early level 2 gank. So to come out with a level 6 ganking jungler, which of course you'd almost always label Rengar level 6 champion, barring Dandy's hands, especially when he was on Samsung White, they'll take a small disadvantage for just letting Rengar, babying him towards that level 6.
And Flame able to build up that Seeker's arm guard here in the bottom lane. Oh, Wayla's going to dodge out of the way of all of the damage from that Q from Cool. Nicely played. There's the ultimate to come through, though. The Ignite's down already as Cool looks for the charm, doesn't find it as Wayla's going to use that death mark. Oh, flashes out of the last tick of damage. The flash! And Cool picks up first blood as Loveling just wanders through and gives him a clap. What wonderful 1v1 play there in the mid lane.
Insane 1v1 coming out from Cool. I thought for sure he'd have to deal with just walking away, forcing him back, but flashes in aggressively. There's a reason why Cool and Ahri are so intertwined, but Twen, he spoils the party.
Yeah, and yeah, the thrill of the hunt. Level 6 jungler, it's going to happen.
I think Cool might have been shopping there, I'm going to be real.
Oh dear. Oh, thank goodness our cameraman didn't see. And we'll just say that it was an outplay.
Definitely. We'll remember it that way.
Nicely done, though. So evening it up there just a little bit to LGD, but this mid lane matchup definitely still going to be in favor of Cool, of course, with that first blood gold. Equalizer going to be used on this wave here, actually trying to get some extra damage down onto Going, but unable to do so. His flash just available yet again.
Cool's actually spent all of his gold. Of course, he wasn't close enough to this large rod to double down on rushing this Zhonya. Going for the very early Fiendish Codex. Gonna have to rely on the outplay to take the 1v1, but LGD, they're going for Dragon, but it was reset.
Does reset, goes back into that pit. That does mean that there's not going to be any vision of it for OMG, and the early Dragon this game going into the hands of LGD.
It's a nice rotation coming through. They realized that Kalista hadn't shown in that bottom lane. Going was still there, actually going for the very aggressive trades with Flame. Don't think he has the damage to finish this out.
Yeah, and look at that damage coming through from the Equilibrium Strike as well. Really making sure that Flame takes as much as he possibly can whilst he's slowed down there.
Making the most of his amp tone.
Oh, making the most of that amp tone. And I'm not just defending that yet again, but it is doing some work.
Ah, video games.
Beautiful. Is OMG going to clear out a couple of wards here as well? Bottom lane's resetting towards this bottom side of the map. OMG going to be pretty upset that they didn't do that a little bit sooner so as to have that man advantage for that Dragon. It is going to be another 6 minutes until that one is available again, as Loveling going to start off this red buff and look to gank some more. Our top lane is going to meet each other towards that top side of the map. Things all going right in the world for them, as they're not going to have this upside down situation.
I'll reiterate my point from the first draft phase, is that Ahri on blue side is one of the scariest picks you can give away in the draft. You have to really ban it on the red, especially against OMG, with that proficiency of Cool on the champion. Even with the little tweaks, the champion, the mechanics to play are basically identical. Obviously a little bit more strategic play with the Q to dodge skill shots. I mean, Cool is an old school Ahri player. Wonderful blind pick champion, so strong, and beautiful burst of damage coming through, and we might see another trade.
Yeah, Deathmark does come through here. Schwen's here as well, as Cool is just gonna get deleted. Wayless picks up the kill, and Cool maybe a little bit overly aggressive as there's a fight in the bottom lane as well. Uzi actually having to flash away from this one, as LGD are doing a decent job trying to escape on this side. Low gets taken out there as well, but Schwen, he's gonna find him, and there's a brilliant equalizer for a double kill for Flame. And we thought Acorn was the Rumble God. Flame is definitely doing it some justice as well.
Acorn, eat your heart out. That's what Flame's thinking right now with the wonderful double kill. But OMG, their shot calling has been fairly shocking this series. There was no need to go for that overly aggressive dive. They just seen their mid lane of force. They knew that Rengar and Zed were in transition. They fall. They're going to lose this bottom turret, or at least most of their health on it, instantly in that trade. And all their hard work, all that early game, is kind of undone.
Yeah, it is, and look at the CS advantage here for Uzi as well, but now with this extra global gold, with the fact that Imp had a little bit more time now in lane, and those couple of assists as well, giving him a lot more experience, man, it's pulled it back definitely here for LGD.
I mean, the list of excuses for OMG's lack of results is starting to grow thinner and thinner. We've said poor drafts, and that has been true. Their Game 1 draft wasn't much better either. But their draft here is strong, and their play in the early levels was smart, but this hole they find themselves in, 1,200 gold and a Dragon down, it's one of their own making.
It is, but Cool is going to take down OMG's favorite turret, the outer in the mid lane. They are going to be able to start getting that very forward vision if they would like to. Of course, now behind just a little bit, but it's only 400 gold. Loveling's going to find Flame taking down these Gromps, and the Cataclysm, you're not going to be able to flash out of it when you've just used your flash. Cool going to pick up the kill.
Yeah, aggressive landing from Core. He has the wave clear advantage against Zed, so it's an excellent roam. Picks up another kill, but no objective to pick up from that pick. That's what OMG need to double down upon. They cannot let themselves get into a vision hole against a Rengar jungle. Schwen has been so on the mark with the thrill of the hunt. 2 use of that ult, 2 kills. This Rengar is getting scary.
Yeah, and this is something that we haven't seen. Of course, Rengar has seen sort of very mixed results in the LPL, but now 1-0 and 2, we might be able to see this Rengar with a lot of power coming into this mid-game. And PYL going to be warding up the enemy jungle here as well. And PYL on the Braum. Haven't seen this one coming out as Loveling. Possibly going to get spotted going through his jungle. Imp's going to wander through as well. And nice play coming from Loveling. Not going to go too aggressive.
It is smart of them to back away there. But they've got a doubled Sightstone situation here. We expected Loveling to pick up that Sightstone. He's done it, of course, before he's even finished his jungle item. But the whole point of the double Sightstone is to get the aggressive wards in to stop the Rengar ultimates from being effective. The first 2 have been super successful. And the Kalista, of course, Low is, of course, going to want to stay near Uzi to open up the potential of that Fate's Call, to open up the potential of Kalista's W. The result is they've got no aggressive wards down in LGD's jungle, so they're kind of wasting the usefulness of that double Sightstone. Okay, they do spot out Chen at his red buff. That's 1 ward, but this should be an over-warded LGD jungle, and it's certainly a long, long way away from that.
Oh yeah, as you can see, the pink ward's still alive here, but here's the fight in the top side. The Equalizer going to come down, going, taking a lot of damage from a Silence Flame, and Schwen, he's going to come in. Doesn't quite have the Blue Fury, but there it is. Wayless just comes in from the backside, and the flash out from Schwen as Cool comes in. The charm doesn't quite land, but Schwen, you are definitely dead. And the answering kill, the 1-for-1 in the end for OMG.
So what is happening with these wards? They're not being used aggressively. Okay, another cornerstone of OMG's gameplay is to ward defensively for going, but 3 men come into his lane because they haven't even used those wards defensively. Why are they investing so much gold into double Sightstones if this map is so underwarded for OMG?
Yep, Cool does pick up an extra kill for it, but you're exactly right. It's uncharacteristic of OMG's play just generally to make these reckless plays.
It's just, again, they're not paying towards the comp they've picked or even the items they built. Okay, if we saw the Warrior Rush coming out of Loveling, if he was doubling down on damage and trying to duel this Rengar in his jungle, sure, I can understand. But he's already committed the 800 gold for the Sightstone. They need to make value of that either offensively or defensively, and they haven't.
Now, LGD going to start up this Dragon. Full vision now available for OMG. They're all collapsing on it. I don't think this is going to be free this time for LGD, as it is going down very, very low. Are going to be able to secure it here, and they're going to use the ultimate from PYL in order to just disengage. Winter's Bite comes in as well, and LGD with a free Dragon.
LGD, again, against double Sightstone, picking up 2 dragons. They have the Sivir here, so of course they have the disengage and engage options with on the hunt. So they're really snowballed in terms of objectives. For them to have the 2 dragons is a big bonus for LGD because they would not expect that given the item pickups.
We'll see whether Uzi can make this difference in the late game as we see him here taking this red buff. Rend is stacking a lot onto that one as Uzi's going to be able to pick that one up by pressing E. But without a Vi, could this Kalista really be what OMG need in the end of this game, in the later stages?
I mean, obviously the big thorn in her side is going to be the Zed. Wayless 2-1, doing just fine. But he's in this particular moment in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, actually gets Arcane smashed out of the way of the charm, which is quite unfortunate. The Exhauster comes through, and Whale is trying to do the best that he can to get a follow-up, but doesn't quite get there. Going. Takes an Equalizer here as well, flashing out of the way of that Empowered Bowler. And Flame looking for him. He gets slowed down. PYL's here as well. He tries to teleport, but doesn't manage it, and Schwen picks up the kill.
He loses both summoners there. The one thing you can say is that Wayless kept onto his flash when he died in the bottom side. The answering kill gets 2 summoners out of going. Suddenly the split push is looking so much less effective because he's going to have to either have an overwarded jungle or just to play really defensively with both summoners down.
And Flame still with a slight advantage in that top side of the map, but Trinity Force has been completed by going. So has hit that spike relatively quickly. His 17 minutes is not too bad, especially considering his scoreline not being that impressive at this stage. Oh, Uzi going to be pretty upset about not being able to finish off that wolf, but Loveling, he's got it. He's a jungler. He knows how to take the wolf. There it is.
And Loveling's been on point this game. 1-0-2. He's gone for the tanky option, the Juggernaut option on the enchant. He understands that he is a frontline for Kalista to battle behind. Makes a lot of sense. You look at the comps here. If they can avoid the Z damage, when the QSS finally comes in for Uzi, he has a lot of outplay potential on a Z with that passive reset, trying to avoid those auto attacks and confirming the passives. So there is plenty of outplay opportunities. And again, only really Rengar for a frontline. There's options with the Kalista, but Loveling's going in.
Yeah, Flame actually going to stand as back as he can so he can at least get some tower damage, but not going to happen. And Uzi going to pick up his second kill of the game.
And Kalista definitely looking like a stronger pick in the comp that they have right here. They're going to take a second inner turret. It's going to be big for them as they're going to open this turret lead.
Yeah, inner turret going to fall down very, very quickly. This is what OMG do to snowball themselves into these games. 2,000 gold now the lead for them as they're rotating around this map. Minions crash there as Wayless. He's going to use the death mark. Cool is so incredibly low, but Going's here. The death mark goes off and Cool still survives. The passive of Ari never should be understated as Schwen going to pop his ultimate as well. Uzi doing so much damage. Imp manages to get the kill under low, and Uzi's getting launched on here by this Rengar. That is the brilliant use of Braum and his passive to lock down Kalista, and all of a sudden, 3 members of OMG are dead.
Yeah, OMG's transitions really let them down there. Why were they fighting in the jungle? In an open situation, so much harder to assassinate Uzi, but losing vision, losing auto attacks, loses Kalista mobility, and she does fall. We're going to see a replay. Wonderful play from Core. Eats half health before he's even using the Spirit Rush. But the last flash just shows how much he understands his champion. With the acquisition range on that Fax Fire so high, you pick the kills. But OMG are caught in transition. Uzi thinks that he's going to turn around this fight because he's spreading Rend on so many targets. But once his gap closed on by the Rengar, the passive applies. They should not be fighting with Kalista in the enemy jungle.
He's just not able to focus onto any targets here as well. So Schwen managed to get that Thrill of the Hunt down, and you can see the beauty of this Braum pick coming in, because as soon as he gets a single auto attack or a Winter's Bite onto Kalista, it just takes the rest of the team getting a few hits in, and she's stunned up and she's dead.
It's a good point there. They do have a lot of dive. If this Wayless is able to get a stun, when he's going in with the ultimate, of course, it gives him a stun alongside the burst damage of the death mark. So again, QSS now doubly important. Even the defense from Braum's passive might be very relevant in a fight.
Uzi probably going to be building that one up next. That was his build path in the last game, and now only more important for him to finish that one up. Bloodthirster completed though. He's going to be looking a little bit better, and Bloodthirster, a fantastic item on Kalista, just gives you a lot more defensive opportunities just because you have so much lifesteal and that shield being so useful.
Yeah, I mean, it gives you the defensive value of the shield. You look at the 20% lifesteal, like, okay, this is a solid pickup. But the synergy with Hurricane, the bolts applying on-hit effects like lifesteal, give you so much implied lifesteal that, again, if they fight in the right area, if they're able to peel Wayless off, we already saw what a Kalista can do if she's free hitting. We already saw the 20-minute surrender coming out of Vici against Snake when Crystal really got going and really got big with a very similar item timing as with Uzi here. So there's plenty of potential for Uzi to go off in Kalista. There's a reason why we've seen those Kalista bans come out against Uzi so commonly. But they have to engineer the right fight, and the previous fight in the jungle certainly didn't help them in this game.
Oh yeah, Flame, he's going to head back to base. His teleport is half off cooldown. Looking for potentially a Void Staff, but might just want to get as much ability power as he possibly can, as this dragon is just about to come up. Wants to make sure that his Equalizer is doing as much work as possible. At the moment, he has pieces of a whole lot of different items that he could complete if he'd like to. And OMG can clear out the wards and try and get their first dragon of the game completely free of LGD vision.
You have a lot of dragons secure with that Kalista, so they will pick it up. And Wayless is caught.
Oh, the charm lands here as well. He tries to Living Shadow his way out, but he doesn't manage to, and Cool easily able to close the distance, and they get a dragon and a pick.
Yeah, the double sight zone actually comes up trumps finally at the 22-minute mark, but you can see that LGD have position. They're trying to push in aggressively, but OMG are not stopping.
Yeah, they're having Flame up there, though, on the side of LGD. There's the Equalizer to clear out these creeps, but OMG, they're going to ignore it here as they have Loveling. He's a mega tank. Low able to tank up this turret a little bit as well, but the inner turret going to fall down in the mid lane as well. We could have a base race situation, but not going to be the case as OMG, they're backing off straight away.
But LGD to get the win there with 4 members forcing a trade of objectives. That's getting the maximum with a man down.
Oh yeah. Working out well so far here for both sides. There's nothing in this game to set these teams apart at this time, apart from one extra dragon here for LGD, but it's not the most important one, of course. If it was the 3rd dragon, if it was the 1st dragon, if it was the 5th dragon, that's what we could harp on about, but when it's 1 and 2, it's not as much of a big deal.
My focus is going to be whether Low and Loveling can work together like the Dandy Martyrs of the past. If they can actually use the double Sightstone to get some important vision to open up this map. Because remember, OMG are ahead in turrets quite significantly, 5-3, 2 inner turrets down. They need to translate that into their standard game plan of pushing the green wards forward, cementing the pink wards, and starting to contest those aggressive objectives like the enemy red, like the enemy blue, and then eventually Baron. They haven't shown that this game. Their warding has been quite poor, given the options they have with all the wards in their inventory. They need to start now.
Yeah, cool. He's going to manage that steal on the blue buff, though. And 24 minutes into the game, are OMG going to get baited by the trap of the easier Baron yet again? It has been 25 minutes that they've started it up almost every single time. There are backpings coming through here as OMG do enter the enemy blue buff side. Loving is going to steal away these wolves. Gets himself a little sentinel for that one too. It's going to be checking things out. Schwen collapsing down as well. Wayless looking for a potential flank here. Hourglass completed on the side of Cool, so he's not going to quite be able to be assassinated. Spirit Rush not going to be used just yet. Thriller Hunt's going to find Loveling here. He's going to launch himself out of the brush, forcing the flash out of Loveling. There's a nice equalizer to stop him. They might be able to solidify this pick as TBQ actually launches himself on top of Loveling, but Flag and Drag just gives him too much of an escape tool.
Yeah, Chwen almost overly aggressively goes in there. Loveling's able to get away, but importantly, Gogoing was very solid on his teleport. They were the big objective there they wanted to get down was Gogoing's teleport, so they could open up the Swift Bush either from Wayless or even Flame with the teleport advantage. But Gogoing holds onto that cooldown. They don't lose a member, importantly. And LGD actually are going to get reacted on with this OMG mid-turret push.
Yeah, Uzi doing so much damage to this one. LGD unable to save it here, but Gogoing might be in trouble. Glacial Fissure comes through. Nice empowered bowler onto Gogoing there, but the turnaround fighters come in as Low is right in there. Cool picks up the kill onto the support as Schwen just forced out of this fight. Has to flash out of the way of that charm, and OMG, they're not stopping the onslaught here. LGD, they don't have an equalizer just yet. Uzi is well inside the base. And so happy just to dance around the skill shots here on this Kalista.
Loveling very low on mana, low. The other frontliner low on health. So they need to back away and shop and spend some of the gold they're sitting on. 2,500 gold is the stack, but the face check comes in from Imp.
Oh my goodness, Imp just gets eliminated straight away. Schwen dodging out of the way of some of these skills, and Thrill the Hunt does activate, so he is safely stealthed. But without an AD carry, and it being 26 minutes into this game, OMG might even look to Baron.
And Imp got so many superlatives said about him in the first game. He played wonderfully well in the Graves. It's just a needless face check. He might have expanded from the information and said, okay, they have low health values, they're just going to back off safely. But he was far too aggressive face checking a jungle against a double Sightstone team. There's no need to check for that red. Red buff is wonderful, but your life is so much more important.
Oh yeah, and Imp is going to be up in a couple of seconds, but not going to be anywhere near this Baron. OMG not going to be going for it just yet as POL looking to clear out this pink ward perhaps. But it is going to be the blue steel to come in. That goes into the hands of Wayless, and this huge creep wave in the bottom lane going to go over to Uzi, but it is going to give LGD a little bit of time with a man advantage around the Baron.
They're going to get position on Baron here. They should not be allowed to do that with the big shops coming through from OMG. A straight frozen heart built up from Gogoing here. He's just looking to negate the 3 attack speed based champions on the LGD side with that purchase. They've massively powered up. There was about 7,000 gold sitting in their pockets as they got that pick on Imp. So the first thing they need to do, the first order of business, start to get that exclusive Baron vision.
Yep, and Uzi has actually picked up that Last Whisper as well as the QSS here as well. He is very, very strong on this Kalista. The scoreline looking a whole lot better for him this game as well, 3-2-1.
And only really Braum has the potential to blow that QSS fast here before the Deathmark damage comes in. They're going to need to get a really fortuitous engage, and Twen, he's propped the ult.
He has Thrill of the Hunt is coming through. They're looking for Cool, but they land onto Loveling here. The charm lands onto Schwen, and he's going down so low. Low's right in there as well, but that equalizer was stunning, and Loveling's going to get melted. Uzi still alive in this backline. Low going incredibly low. Uzi's going to get the kill onto Wayless, and look at the Hurricane clean up this fight. Uzi shows us why he picked Kalista, a quadra kill.
Wonderful play, and for once, Uzi isn't focused out, still has his QSS available, didn't even have to use it, and that's the power of the Kalista pick shown in one fight.
And they are going to be able to possibly pick up an inhibitor from this one as well. Death time is quite large. 10 seconds still remaining on PYL, who's going to be the first one available. This inhibitor going to fall down. They might even do some work on the bottom lane one as well.
You start to see why Kalista shows so much priority. You have to go so many tools to deal with that champion. Whether it's the Vi, whether it's the Quadra CC engage. If you don't have a plan to deal with Uzi on this Kalista, your whole team will pay the price.
And you have to keep her down for the whole game as well. We saw Uzi never get going in the last game, but now after that fight, 7-2-2 after we just listed off her other scoreline, looking a whole lot better and going to be able to go back and purchase almost anything he wants on that champion. And let's look at it again.
So we're going to see the fight right here. Again, you have to watch Uzi. He's the big factor in this fight, but the tanking that comes in the front line is so important. The equalizer, importantly, doesn't go on to Uzi. He doesn't start doing orders till very late in this fight, but look how low health the members are, and crucially, Twen was the one super chunked out by the first charm. And you just see the result. He hops around happily like a rabbit and gets quadra kill.
Easily done, but Schwen actually going to steal away this Baron as well. The Cataclysm comes in. There's the Fate's Call to get Low out of trouble. Schwen in a lot of trouble as well. Oh my gosh, all of the members die on the side of LGD. Uzi still standing. He hadn't even gone back to base yet, and OMG, they get the ace.
Yeah, they get the ace, and I think this is going to be the end of this game. Pops the QSS. That's actually the surrender coming through. And
Everyone,
so fast things change.
Everyone flashing towards that base as well. OMG hungry for that victory. It's the second time we've seen this type of story coming through. Of course, OMG lose the first game in a series and then come back with so much prowess and so much hunger for victory, and that was no different.
And no champion has caused so many spontaneous surrenders as Kalista. When those fights happen, you realize, crap, our initiation or our Kalista killing plan doesn't work. Specifically, when the QSS came through and all those damage items were completed on Uzi, there's just no way to win those fights. You're done.
Yep, just wasn't available. And let's have a look at a replay to see just how OMG did this against LGD.
So we're going to start. It's going to be the fight that we just replayed, but it's an excellent one to just demonstrate how strong this Kalista pick is. So we roll the tape. The game's pretty even at this point. Twen goes and initiates, but importantly eats the charm, and now he's chunked out. Remember, he's one of the frontliners that needs to be dealing with Uzi. Uzi's not even on the map at this point. He's avoided all this damage. He's in the backline as the frontline of OMG stands strong. And you think with going forward it's going to be a big deal, but this is basically a 1v4 quadra kill. Let's be real. So much AoE damage coming out. Hops along, gets a quadra kill. And that's the thing about Kalista. If she's unchecked, if all your CCs are down, if your tanky members aren't at the point where they can ignore her damage, and if you stay grouped, we've seen so many games where a single tank with 400 armor can sit on Kalista and she can't spread that damage, and she's irrelevant. But when you have low health members, no CC available, not itemizing towards those really tanky stats, the quadra kill looks so easy.
Yeah, it's very easy for Uzi, but Cool managed to land back-to-back charms in that fight as well. Schwen, as soon as he was coming through, gets charmed. Wayless manages to land the death mark, tries to get out, gets charmed. And Cool has to get a mention in that fight in that game as well, because his Ahri was fantastic. But overall, you have to say, we understand now why the bans are coming through on top of this Kalista. But that is going to be the end of this series. There is still one more tonight, guys. Vici versus M3 coming up very soon.